Miami and Louisville have the national stage tonight. MarkRogersTV talking Cardinals and the Canes tonight with Cam Underwood of SB Nation's The State of the U. We always enjoy the conversations with Cam. Cam will bring you in, talk about the Cards and the Canes, as well as just setting up the season for Miami. So it's a bit significant in regards to the sanctions that have been hovering as a dark cloud over this program for quite some time. Lifted in regards to a decision being made as opposed to the last time the Canes hit the field. Do you think that's significant? Do you think that plays into the minds of the players? And is this significant going forward now?
It's just great to be done with this investigation. It's been looming over the program for 3 years, and just to have a resolution. We already have, self-redacted some bowl games in the ACC championship game a couple of years ago, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Our recruiting is picking up because we don't have any restrictions or uncertainty as to what's going to happen in the future with the NCAA decision, and it just is a relaxation for everybody. We don't have to worry about it. We can focus on getting back to being, the Miami Hurricanes playing Canes football and just moving forward in a positive direction.
So let's talk about this football team heading into tonight's game and throughout the 2014 season. Quarterback is usually the headliner, but it's really a headliner for this football team. So you bring in the kid that was the 7th-rated pro-style quarterback coming out of high school, 141 by 24/7, Brad Kaaya, true freshman, hitting the field, national stage, on the road. So your thoughts about the quarterback battle, Kaaya, what you know about him, what you've seen, what you've heard, kind of the scouting report on him.
Kaaya is the most talented player that we have on the roster at the position. Obviously, with Ryan Williams tearing his ACL in the spring game, and that taking him out, and he was going to be the starter. He's been here for 3 years previously. Taking him out of the equation opened up the door for Kaaya to come in and start. We also got Jake Heaps as a transfer. He was previously at BYU in Kansas, but his performance at those locations left a lot to be desired, and he was unable to better Brad Kaaya throughout the fall camp, obviously. Kevin Olson's still on the roster. This is Greg Olson's younger brother, Greg Olson of Hurricane and my NFL fame. Excuse me. But he is suspended for this game. He didn't travel to Louisville because of violation of team rules. And once Ryan Williams went down, it was Kevin Olson's job to lose, and he succeeded in losing that. Brad Kaaya came in after he graduated in June, flew out to Miami, and he did not have the normal Miami experience. Everybody talks about it. If you read all of the articles, both on our site and others, he really just invested himself in learning the playbook and becoming the best quarterback he could be right now. He didn't go to South Beach. He didn't go to parties. He didn't go see, Cayocho and, the Latin spots and the Cuban restaurants. He didn't do any of the sightseeing. He sat in his room and he studied. And it paid off. He's a big kid, 6'4". He was 230 pounds. He lost weight down to about 208, but I think he's up to about 212. Strong arm, makes good reads, and very decisive with the ball. So he does a good job getting into the right play. And he's not going to really beat you running around, but he's very accurate, very strong arm. And, I think that he can both manage the game to not get into problem areas and also make plays when it's his time to get some throws.
So we're going to chalk up the football commitment. We're going to take that as football commitment and not necessarily make a judgment on his lifestyle decisions there. So Kaaya is the starter. He will play, obviously. Has there been talk about we're going to play both quarterbacks in this game?
There has been actually the opposite of that. They've said Kaaya is the quarterback, period. So there will not be a rotation. It's not, okay, we're going to go 2 series of Kaaya, 2 series of Heaps, and then figure it out. Brad Kaaya is the quarterback, singular. So short of injury or a blowout situation, with the Canes winning, obviously, because this is how blowouts are going to be from now on, where you put in a secondary kind of quarterback, Brad Kaaya is the guy from jump, and I think that that's the right decision.
Protection's always key. But especially with a young quarterback on the road. So your thoughts about the offensive line and the performance that we should expect this season?
Offensive line is one of the stronger parts of our team. We do have 3 starters, the center, left guard, and left tackle, all returning. And then we have a rotation player from last year, Danny Isadora, who's a local South Florida kid. He's going to start at right tackle. And we don't necessarily know who's going to be the right guard, but we don't know who's going to be the right tackle yet. You have Trevor Darling from Miami Central. You have Casey McDermott, who is the center, Shane McDermott's younger brother, and also Taylor Gadbois, who's a redshirt sophomore. Those three are in the discussion for reps at right tackle. I think that Gadbois, he fell off a little bit in the battle, and the younger freshman McDermott, true freshman, was the starter throughout a lot of camp, but now Gadbois seems to have come back and regained his starting slot. So it should be Eric Flowers, Jonathan Feliciano, Shane McDermott, Danny Isadora, and Taylor Gadbois from left to right on the offensive line. But we have a rotational offensive line system, so I think you're going to see 8 or 9 guys play. A lot of them are really good in the run blocking. Eric Flowers is a number 1 first-round pick in my mind, the left tackle, 6'6", 320 pounds, and he actually went to high school with Duke Johnson, whose name you might probably know if you watch college football. So they've been teammates for a while. But I think that it's going to be a pretty good battle in the trenches for the offensive line. We're going to have the rotation coming through, and I think that they're going to be successful dealing with all the pressure that I think that Louisville's going to dial up to try and rattle Brad Kaaya.
You mentioned that name, Cam. Duke. He's going to be back on the field. You got to be amped about that.
I mean, if you're a football fan, you're happy about this. If you're a Miami fan or alum such as myself, you're ecstatic. You're overjoyed. He is one of the top running backs in the country. He is not going to be doing kick returns anymore this year, I believe they said. He's just going to focus on the offensive side. And it's a little tough for me because he's so explosive. You want him on kick returns and punt returns, but he's so explosive you don't want to risk him getting injured there, so just on the offense. But multifaceted, multidimensional back, 5'9", 210 pounds. He ran his fastest 40 time after UTUF this summer. He's really grown into his body. Still electric, still quick, still fast. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run between the tackles, stretch it to the outside. Literally every time he touches the ball, it could be a touchdown. He is the centerpiece of our team. He's the centerpiece of our offense, and it's just going to be great to see number 8 back out there on the field.
I wonder if there's a possibility down the road, if it's a big game, if it's Florida State or somebody else, that, hey, we get Duke out there on the field to give it a shot for 4 or 5 kickoff returns.
Well, I think that they'll look at it and say, yeah, if he goes to the coaches, and Al Golden is actually the special teams coach also. So if he goes to Coach Golden and says, look, we're down by a touchdown or whatever, this is a big game, and I really want to go back there, put me in, I'm going to get you these yards, I'm going to get a touchdown, and he has that fire, that bravado, that, coach, give it to me right now and I will make it happen, then, that's something that hopefully the coach would listen to and be positive with.
All right, do you think it's going to be a situation where they ease him into it, maybe with 12 or 15 carries, or bam, he's healthy, he's got 100% recovery, we're going to just go at it?
Oh, no, he's 100%, so we're going to go at it with him as much as he can go. So, it could be 15, 18, 22 carries, 4 or 5 catches. I don't think there's going to be a restriction on his playing time due to any injury concerns. If anything, we have a very loaded backfield. It's not as loaded as Georgia's right now, but we have Duke Johnson, Gus Edwards, Joseph Vierby, and Trayon Gray all at the running back position, and all these guys can play at a high level right now. So if anything, maybe they'll give him a breather because one of those other guys, they think that they could be successful in that situation, but they're not going to take him out because of any injury concerns. He's 100% full go.
It's not a Miami preview without talking about wideouts. So what do you have there? Are these special players or serviceable players? What do you have coming back?
We have both special and serviceable players, actually. But right at the top, the starting group of Malcolm Lewis, who's a local kid, and he dealt with injuries the last couple of years. He had that nasty ankle dislocation against Georgia Tech 2 years ago, and then he fought through a groin injury last year, but he's dropped weight. He's quick. He's fast. He's electric. He's back to his high school kind of form. You have also Philip Dorsett, who ran a reported 4.1940 during UTUF. I don't know if he's that fast, 4.19 fast, but he's one of the 10 fastest guys in college football, and he's a senior from St. Thomas Aquinas. And then the headliner is Stacy Coley, a freshman All-American, only player in America to score touchdowns 4 different ways. That's running, receiving, kickoff, and punt returns. And he started to break out towards the end of last season. And he's a first-round draft pick waiting in a couple of years. So those 3 in your starting group are amazing. Behind them, we have also Tyree Brady and Braxton Berrios as freshmen. And they're going to come in and contribute. We have another couple of guys and some really good tight ends also. Clive Walford, Standish Dobard. So we have a lot of skilled players on the perimeter who can help out Kaaya, and as we're going into this game.
So, Cam, as spotty as the offense has been the last couple of years with Stephen Morris at quarterback, it was very impressive and explosive at times. The defense probably overall not nearly up to standards of the U or where they would like to be. So the front 7 on defense looks to be a bit shaky, some question marks, although you've got the stud Denzel Perriman.
Yeah, the front 7 and particularly the defensive line is where we're looking for upgrades against previous year's performance. So we have Al-Quadin Muhammad, Anthony Chickalo, Calvin Hurtaloo is a junior college guy who came in this past year who's going to contribute. Ufumba Kamalu is another JUCO guy who was here last year, and he's grown into his body and his role even more. You have the returning players. You have freshmen coming in, Portel Jenkins at defensive tackle, Anthony Moten at defensive tackle, Chad Thomas, the 5-star, top 20 rated player in all of America coming in last year. He's coming in, with other guys in the front area or out on the line. So that's, I think, really going to be the big determiner of can things change? Are things better? All these guys in the front. Trent Harris, also in that group, another true freshman who's going to push for playing time. Tyreek McCord. I've named 8 or 9 guys, and all of them are, if they were here previously, they're better than they were. And if they're new guys, they have a higher level of talent than the guys who they replace on the roster. So I know that they're young, but we're going to see if they can actually perform during the game. At the linebacker spot, everything happens around Denzel Perriman, 108 tackles last year. He's moving from outside linebacker to middle linebacker, so he can be a little bit more involved. He's already said that he's shooting for 125 tackles or more, and with the system of defense we've run, I think that he can get there. The other linebacker spots are still unsettled. You have Jermaine Grace and Raphael Kirby going at the weak side linebacker slot. Don't know which one of those is going to start, but my money's probably on Kirby. And at the strong side linebacker, you have Thurston Armbrister and Darion Owens, who's another true freshman. Notice this theme, this 2014 class of true freshmen all over the field are pushing for playing time. Recently, Owens has been leading at that spot, so I'm not sure at all who's going to start between Armbrister and Owens. But, yeah, a very talented gentleman on that front 7, but yeah, we really need them to show that we've grown up through this UTUF and really play physically so that we can have a chance in this game.
Cam, pick your school, and there's usually a position traditionally throughout history that stands out as, wow, linebacker you, running back you, whatever. With Miami, I'm searching all over the place, and it's basically every position with the number of NFL draft picks throughout the years. But if I had to come up with a position, it would either be wide receiver or defensive back. And this group looks to be really good, a lot of talent there and depth.
Very true, talented and deep in the defensive backfield. And I think that that's probably arguably the strongest position area on the team between the safeties. And you have Dallas Crawford, who played running back for us last year after Duke Johnson got injured. He's coming back to the safety position where he was first-team All-State for 2 years in high school. He led the state of Florida interceptions his senior year of high school. And he probably has locked down that free safety spot. Opposite him, you have Deion Bush, who's another local kid. Also was a freshman All-American 2 years ago at Miami before he battled with a sports hernia last year. And Jamal Carter, who is the most physical player in the secondary. He's 6'1", he's probably 210 pounds, and absolute chiseled, rock-solid muscle. So Crawford is going to start with one of Bush or Carter, but all 3 of them are going to see plenty of playing time. At cornerback, Antonio Crawford, Tracy Howard, Corn Elder, Artie Burns, Ladarius Gunner. Those 5 guys are going to really rotate. I think all 5 of them are going to see the field. I really think that Howard and Gunter are probably going to start. at least this first game, but all 5 have been battling throughout camp. And on different days, depends on the practice, but Antonio Crawford and Corn Elder were the starters one day, and then, it's Artie Burns and Tracy Howard another day. So they're always raising their level of performance. So, between the 3 guys at safety, and that didn't even mention the true freshman, another one who's going to play this year, Marcus Gayotte, and 5 at cornerback, that's those 9 guys in the defensive secondary we can feel comfortable putting out there.
All right, Cam, let's talk some Louisville football here. It's a doubleheader of sorts, and I know you want to forget the last time out, but when we previewed that game, we talked about the connections Louisville had with Miami in regards to so much talent going to so many schools across the country, but specifically Louisville coming from southern Florida. Your thoughts about what – I can't say it's going to be a rivalry, number one, because they play in opposite divisions, but at the same time, Louisville comes to the ACC. Do you think that's a good thing for the conference? And the differences in the matchup, obviously, different head coach. You got an offensive-minded head coach in Petrino versus Charlie Strong, but you take away the first-round quarterback, and Louisville comes in with some different personnel, and Miami should be a little bit more experienced and ready for this matchup. I would think maybe outside the true freshman quarterback.
Yeah, it's first of all, I do believe that adding Louisville to the conference is a strong thing for the ACC, not only for football but also for basketball. National champions 2 years ago were the Cardinals, so that strengthens the conference all the way around. In football, yes, they've come up recently throughout the past, decade or more, and they've raised their profile. Obviously, we've played them a few times. In 2004, they came to the Orange Bowl. We had a classic game, the one where Devin Hester had the punt return and he undressed the punter around the 30-yard line, and that was a comeback victory. We went up there a couple years later, and they won that game pretty handily. Obviously, this bowl game this last year, where we started off with a safety on their first drive and then didn't score again until the middle of the fourth quarter. So there is a history of performance against each other. So, yeah, I mean, this is rivalry-esque, rivalry-like kind of. But, yeah, we're looking forward to a new year, a new game, and just a new team. This team has a lot better camaraderie. We have a lot better talent. We've gotten some of those guys who should not have been Miami players. They did not have Miami-level talent, and I'm not going to call names, but who were on the team last year are no longer. And they've been replaced with student-athletes who they might not have the experience of being in the games, but they have a higher level of talent. And, I'm hopeful, and I think a lot of Canes fans are hopeful that higher level of talent puts us in a position to be more competitive and win games.
So I just wanted to hit you with 2 more things, a little Louisville look and a division outlook. So Will Gardner, he's been in the system, little experience for him in replacing Teddy Bridgewater, but again, he's been in the system for a few years. No Devontae Parker at wide receiver, he's their stud, but Eli Rogers tore you up last year for 9 catches and $142. So your thoughts and what you know in researching the Cardinals.
Well, yeah, like you said, Bobby Petrino is an offensive-minded coach. Everywhere he's been, they've been successful in offense. So I think that our defense improving is going to be absolutely essential, first and foremost, because he's a great X's and O's coach on offense. Will Gardner is in the Ryan Mallett mold. He's tall, 6'5", 230, rocket-armed quarterback, and they let him throw it a lot in the spring game, and he had a lot of success against their defense, and I don't know if they're going to let him do that as much tonight. But he's a first-time starter also, and I know that he's a little older than Brad Kaaya, who's a true freshman just coming from high school, but he's not been game-tested. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Missing Devontae Parker, first-team All-American, off of their team or off their offense for 8 weeks with a broken bone in his foot, obviously is a factor for them. And I know that they do have other players of skill at wide receiver, but no dynamic talent such as Devontae Parker. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the Eli Rogers, with the Michael Lee Harris, with the Jonathan or Quick, whatever, James Quick, what they do there. And also Dominique Brown is a good running back, number 10 for them. So, they don't necessarily have to throw the ball all the time, just like Miami doesn't have to throw the ball all the time either. So I'm interested to see really what that happens or how that goes. And I don't know why, but I feel really confident in our offense because we have skill players. at every level. We have a good offensive line, and Brad Kaaya can make all the throws. I'm not saying that he's going to throw it 60 times like Kenny Hill did for Texas A&M or anything like that, but I believe that when asked to throw or when they call a throwing play, that he can be successful. So I think that's really going to be okay. I think we're going to score points against their defense, especially since they're missing first-team All-American Marcus Smith, who graduated, and also a first-round draft pick in Calvin Pryor at safety. So really, to me, it's their offense versus our defense. What comes down there, and then and in every single game, turnovers are going to tell the story. So can either of these new quarterbacks protect the ball? And whichever one does better than the other one, I believe that team's going to be victorious.
Cam, this Coastal Division was a mess last year. I think you can throw a blanket over like 5 teams. It looks like it coming into this season. Of course, Duke emerged and surprised everybody. If you look at the preseason polls and rankings, from a national perspective, it's just like, well, Florida State's going to win anyway, so who cares who wins that division? Virginia Tech seems to have the most solid defense. North Carolina is the only team in the division right now, preseason top 25, and a media pick to win the division. I believe that if you look at the recruiting rankings and size up the depth charts, Miami has the best talent. Unfortunately, because of ACC scheduling, and it's like this in the SEC and the Big Ten, you probably have the toughest schedule in having to play Florida State and Louisville. So size up the division and how you think this is going to shake out.
I agree with you that we are the most talented team in the Coastal Division out of all of the teams. North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, even Duke inclusive. And, yeah, I think that we are the most talented team. But it's just we need to come together on the field and prove that. And our execution needs to support the level of talent that we have. I believe that with the most talented team, this year we're going to execute. I believe that we're going to win the division outright. And I understand that our schedule is tough. Obviously, with playing 2 of the top 3 teams from the Atlantic Division, including Florida State, our annual rival, and they're a very good team. Obviously, Louisville, a very good team. So we had to play 2 of the tougher teams from that side of the division or of the conference, and still, be competitive in our own division because conference losses still count. But I really believe that we are moving in the right direction. I believe that we've been around that conference championship level for a while. We were co-champions a couple of years ago, but that was when we had our sanction kind of thing, so we self-restricted. We didn't go and play in the ACC championship game then, but I believe that this is going to be the first year of the new era of Miami football coming back. And yet North Carolina, they don't really scare me. Virginia Tech, I don't think that they scare me. Duke, yeah, I mean, that was nice for 1 year, but they don't scare me. And I really believe that, we have the ability and the talent to be successful. So it might be uberly optimistic, it might be utopian, but I'm going to say that we have the best team, we have the best talent, and we're going to win it this year.
Well, Cam, you bring it all to the table, the information and the insight, the vibrato, and I never have to question where you stand. I just look at this shirt every time you come on, and there's no doubt about that. That's good stuff.
I mean, it's my alma mater. I love the University of Miami, and I have to let the people know that I stand with the U.
That's awesome, Cam. Enjoy the game tonight. We always appreciate your take on things, and hopefully we can track you down soon.
All right, thanks for having me, Mark. Guys, take care.